Hey everybody. You know, as that fella said in The Big Lebowski, that cowboy guy, forgot his name. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes he eats you. I had made a call on Netflix, and yesterday I kind of bragged that I was a genius on my stock picks. So today when I turn on the beautiful Melissa Lee, Fast Money, I love that show. They were discussing Netflix. And one of the technical guys on there, blonde-headed guy, about 34, really a neat guy, was explaining an engulfing candlestick. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. The engulfing candlestick, and he used the term Maruboza. Okay, so that's what this video is about. So I went directly to stockcharts.com, into their introductions to candlesticks. Here's a brief history of candlesticks. The Japanese began using technical analysis to trade rice in the 17th century. While this early version of technical analysis was different from the U.S. version initiated by Charles Dow around 1900, many of the guiding principles were very similar. And this is stuff that I pretty much believe in. I believe in all this stuff, okay? But I'm a technician. An amateur technician, not a great technician, but I believe in this stuff. Number one, the what, the price action, is more important than the why. News, earnings, and so on. Like whether Mr. Icon sold a bunch of his Netflix stock today, that's just gossip to me. I could care less. I'm glad Mr. Icon's a billionaire. That's great. I'm happy for him. But that doesn't have anything to do with the price action as far as I'm concerned, is what I'm going to get into. All known information is reflected in the price. Buyers and sellers move markets based on expectations and emotions, fear and greed. Markets fluctuate. The actual price may not reflect the underlying value. As I've said before, and it bears repeating, Mr. Bollinger said this in his book, Bollinger on Bollinger Bands. A market fundamentalist thinks he's always right. A market technician thinks the market is always right. The market is always right. It's saying something. We have to be smart enough to figure out what it's saying. And this guy right here, this Steve Nissen, he is the man when it comes to Japanese candlesticks. He is a very smart guy. So the formation of a Japanese candlestick, now this was a little sloppy. Bear with me. So you have the open, you have the high, you have the low, you have the close. These are both candlesticks. Okay, in this case right here, this part in here in the middle is called the real body. This reflects, in this case, this was the opening. This was the opening price in this case, right? This is the closing price. This is how high it got. This is how low it got. And the body tells you, the fact that it's clear in the middle, says it was up. This here, the real body here, is dark. So that would mean that that is the open, and that is the close. That, in all cases, they're the low. Now, when you take these and you put them up on a chart for months and months and months, you see these charts and they go out. And somebody who's smart can see it right away. Now, what happened with the Netflix chart today, and let me just draw it up here real quick. Just use a pen here. Yesterday's candlestick was up, so it was like this, right? Can you see that? Today, it's just a black body here. And it engulfed this one. The dark body of the thing engulfed this one. All right, now what does that mean? Generally speaking, the longer the body is, the more intense the buying and selling pressure. So here we go. We got Maruboza. This is a white Maruboza. That means that this is where it opened, this is where it's closed. In this case, I'm sorry, I apologize. This is the open, this is the close. The black Maruboza, which is what happened to Netflix today. A huge candlestick. You can see it on there. Go and look at your charts yourself. You're not an idiot. You can figure that out. You found your way here for a reason. All right? Today, we opened here, we closed. The volume today on Netflix was 25.8 million. Its average volume is around 3.5 million. So that's 7 times. So there was a lot of selling going on today. All right. Now, I looked at it in terms of what it's been doing. Virtually, the NASDAQ stock, Netflix is virtually unchanged in the last 5 days. It was at 322 5 days ago. It's at 322 today. And it's also even for the last month. So 322 at the beginning of a month ago and 322 now. In the last 6 months, it's went from 211 to 323. All right? So what is that? So we're looking at 21 points divided by 211. Right? That's where we started. So yeah, it's up about 50%. And if you looked at there was some gossip about that. I already mentioned that Mr. Icon sold a huge block, which he did. He still has a 4.5% stake in the company. And if you look at the charts, back in 11/11, it was like this. It did some blobby, and it went here to 60 in October of last year, and now it's at 322. And if you look at the weekly chart, that's what it looks like. No long-term trends have been broken. Nothing has changed. The stock is not broken. And I don't know about all this candlestick business. I'm not an expert on it. I would definitely look at Netflix. I would definitely be concerned. But I don't think this is going to break the long-term trend. As far as, Kevin Spacey being on there, as far as all the gossip, yak, how much money they made overseas, what they did, who they are, I could care less. I don't care about any of that stuff. I get yawned, and I don't trust any of those accountants. I trust the chart. Okay, that was just a little lesson. Thank you. Bye-bye.